Ще започнем направо с това, за което ще говорим днес. Знаете, предполагам повечето от вас, че WordPress версия 5 ще излезе скоро. Планирано е да излезе през април месец. И това, което се знае за нея, е, че ще бъде една от най-революционните версии на WordPress, излизали някога. И най-революционното за нея всъщност е Gutenberg, новия редактор на WordPress. Той всъщност е много повече от това. Той всъщност е едно изцяло ново преживяване за WordPress. Просто ние вече с него ще преоткрием начина, по който създаваме съдържание. И тъй като април месец е скоро, доста скоро, не знаем точно кой април ще излезе WordPress 5, но април месец е скоро и трябва да се подготвим за това. Нашите прекрасни директори Коджи и Никола днес са дошли тук да ни разкажат как да се подготвим по-добре за Gutenberg. Заповядайте.
Тогава ще започнем с презентация за гледна точка на потребителите.
First, I would like to ask everyone, how many here are developers? Okay. Majority. How many are advanced WordPress users? And how many are basic? Basic? Anyone? Yes! Okay, awesome. I am a basic WordPress user, and I did not think that I would ever be giving a talk specifically on an aspect of WordPress, because my knowledge is basic. I'm a content developer. But I am very enthusiastic about Gutenberg. I've been playing around with it for the past month and a half, 2 months, and there's a lot of exciting things going on. So Gutenberg is going to be the new visual editor for WordPress 5. And I want to start with talking about the idea. Hello. The idea behind Gutenberg, where it came from, what needs it addresses in the community. So in an interview last year, Matt Molowick said we wanted users to be able to do things easier, not spend a ton of money on plugins and writing a bunch of custom code to accomplish their needs. So that's the driving force behind Gutenberg. But what needs was he talking about? First, the modern website has more of a focus on mixed media. It's not all text, it's not all video. It's text and video and pictures and audio all mixed together on one page. And the basic user pretty much wants more control over that experience of mixing things together. And in order to get that control in the current WordPress editor, you have to install third-party plugins or go to an expert. And the issue with the third-party plugins is there are sometimes compatibility issues, and sometimes they make your website less efficient. So the idea was to get rid of that issue and to give the users, the basic users, what they want, which is more control over mixed media. And also there's the slight aspect of WordPress competing with page builders such as Wix, Squarespace, Weebly, where people are having a what you see is what you get experience. And WordPress is needing to compete with that on some level. And now we are going to talk about the name, Gutenberg. Who here knows where the name Gutenberg comes from? You.
The first printing press.
Yes. As a content creator, as a writer, I am so excited about this name because it's the first printing press. It's the printing press that changed the way all of society, how do I say this? All of society consumes media. It gave voice to more people. Before the Gutenberg press, very few people were able to write and get their ideas heard, and very few people were able to get their hands on books and read them, or newspapers. Newspapers came about because of the Gutenberg press. So some facts about the Gutenberg press. It was not actually the first printing press. Printing presses and block style printing, where you have a wooden block, you put in letters, you ink it, you put it on the page. Those have been around for 1,000 years before Gutenberg. They were developed in East Asia, and they were actually in use in Europe when Gutenberg changed things up. So what did Gutenberg do? He changed the ease and the efficiency of the printing press. He changed out clay tiles with metal tiles. He changed the ink to make it go on easier, to go on faster, and he changed the page style so that you can print more pages at once. And what this did is it modernized the press, it made the press quicker, and it put it into the hands of the common people. And that is pretty much what the Gutenberg editor is doing here. The goal is to give more control to the basic user. Now, developers are going to have a fun time with it. Nicola will tell you about the things that developers can do with Gutenberg, but it's really geared towards improving the experience of your everyday user. So let's take a look at Gutenberg right now. It is not ready yet. It's coming out with WordPress 5.0, which is supposed to be released in April, but the talk is it's probably not going to be released in April because what they are saying is 5.0 will not come out until Gutenberg is ready, and Gutenberg is definitely not ready yet. So will that be a delay of a month, 6 months? We don't know. But it will come with WordPress 5.0. For right now, what you can do is you can play around with the plugin, which, if you're a very basic user like me, this is how you install the plugin.
You can see.
Okay, so installing, if you use WordPress at all, then you know the dashboard. You go to plugins, you go to add new, go up to your keyword search and search for
Touch fast.
what? Search for Gutenberg. You will see tons and tons of plugins come up, which are, many of them are blocks, which we're going to get into what is a block. But the very first one that comes up will be the Gutenberg visual editor. So go ahead and install it, activate it, and there you go, you have Gutenberg. Once you install it, you're going to get this cool little Gutenberg demo down here. And it goes through basically all of the basics that you need to get started. And Gutenberg, what it does is it takes your content and it puts it into little blocks, like Lego blocks, that you can move up and down. And eventually side to side, although they're not there yet. Can I have? Yeah? Okay. So each one of these pieces of text or photos, they're each an individual block. And you'll see to the left of them, you have your ability to move it up or down on your page. And to the right, you have your ability to do some minor editing on it. You can change what kind of block it is. For instance, this is a text block. You can change it into a heading or a list or a quote. And when you want to make a new block, it's very easy. You go to your last block, you press return, and you've got a new block. And here you've got your 3 most commonly used blocks. So you can go ahead and just enter from here. Or you can go over to the plus, which gives you all of the blocks that Gutenberg currently comes with. So these are the 9 most frequently used blocks. Next you have your full library of blocks. Now if you make your own blocks or you install blocks, they are going to show up here. And you also have your ability to embed from outside sources. such as embedding tweets or a video from YouTube. And it makes it, for basic users like me, super simple, super easy. It used to be so complex for me to insert something from YouTube into my website. Now I enter a block, it's done. So yeah, super simple. Over here you're going to see that you have your document settings, and you also have settings for each individual block. So you can really customize your experience without changing things around too much. Now, yeah.
Хората не отзади виждат ли прилично добре?
Yeah.
More or less.
Okay. Sorry, it's kind of smallish.
That's the resolution.
Where was I? So, right. So, one block I would like to point out that is kind of recent is your classic editor block. So, say you really like the classic WordPress experience, you can go into Gutenberg and you can create the classic editor block. Where did it go? Or tons of blocks. There. It should. Why is it not showing up? It's here behind it. No. Okay, well, it is not showing up on this one, but it will give you your classic editor back inside of a block. So inside of that block, you're going to be able to edit exactly how you're editing your content right now. And the other thing I want to mention about the blocks is, this block, columns, experimental, super experimental. Unless you're a developer, you're probably not going to have a fun time with that block. So you might want to stay away from it until they work out the bugs. On that note, if you have issues adjusting to a new way of doing things, you might want to wait until WordPress 5.0 comes out. Because right now, every 2 or 3 weeks, they're making major changes in Gutenberg. So the layout of it, the functionality of it changes just enough to be annoying. So, and then it takes another 2 or 3 days to figure out what they did and how to adjust to it. So play with it, experiment with it, but definitely wait until 5.0 comes out before you go into full force with it. One other thing I want to mention was that down here in the Gutenberg plugin, you have an option to give feedback. So the feedback, I encourage you, even if you are not a developer, if you see something going on that's wrong and you don't like it, that's annoying, leave feedback. If you see something you really like, leave feedback. That is pretty much the only way that the people working on this project know whether or not they're making something that is usable. So even if you're not a developer, leave feedback. Okay, and now I want to talk about some common misconceptions about Gutenberg. There are a lot of rumors floating around right now. Okay, first one, Gutenberg is terrible. If you looked when I installed the plugin, its rating is currently around 2.5, 2.6 stars out of 5 stars. Pretty low rating. People are not necessarily happy with Gutenberg. And that's for various reasons, but one of the main reasons is it is not ready yet. So if you go into the plugin and you expect it to be a fully developed experience and you expect it to be great, you're going to be disappointed. So just keep in mind that it's under construction. 2, Gutenberg is a what you see is what you get page builder. Not true. Gutenberg is an evolution of the current experience. Gutenberg has 3 phases. The current release is going to be the first phase of it. After that, they're going to start changing the dashboard, and then the third phase is possibly moving into a what you see is what you get editor. So this is not going to be that experience, and if you're looking for what you see is what you get, you're going to be disappointed.
Can
Yeah.
I say why this? So that happens right now because Gutenberg works on the back end, and so unless you were working with a theme that was specifically designed to work with Gutenberg in mind, so they started from the ground up, then it's most likely not going to enqueue its styles on the Gutenberg editor, and so what you see in the back end might differ from what you see in the front end. With that said though, some themes, if they start thinking about Gutenberg particularly, and they design around it, you might get a more what you see is what you get experience in the back end.
Cool. Next, Gutenberg is too complicated for basic users. And this is ironic because I most often hear this from developers and who refer to themselves as super users, so very advanced users. And they say there's no way someone new to WordPress is going to come into Gutenberg and be able to use the editor. And I'll just say from my own experience that that's not true at all. It's very intuitive, it's very easy to use, it's simple, the demo is very straightforward. So it's actually geared at giving non-developers greater control and more options. That being said, if you have a workflow set up with the current visual editor and your workflow is very complicated because you have a lot of workarounds to get things into your content, then you might have some troubles adjusting to Gutenberg. So it's actually the more advanced users that might have more trouble switching over to Gutenberg. And finally, great, I won't need a developer anymore, which is also known as, oh no, I'm going to lose business as a developer. Again, not true. Complex sites are always going to benefit from experienced designers and experienced developers. So the only thing is that once you hand over a completed site to a client, it's probably going to be easier for them to update their own content and to have a little bit more control over the visual aspect of their content. And now, speaking from the developer point of view, Nicole.
Good job, thank you. And one last thing about that, so despite that most people will probably find it easier to update their content, you're still going to have businesses that don't want to deal with that. They say, you know, I have a business to run, I need you to update my site. So if that's what you do, you're still going to have clients that will need your help regardless.
Mm-hmm.